So today I have with me the Flipears Aegis and Legion. Both of these IEMs are made in the Philippines, which is really cool. I love showcasing stuff from all around the world. The Aegis comes in at $500 and it's a single DD plus bone conductor driver setup, while the Legion comes in at $850 and it's a tri-bit consisting of a DD, a bone conductor, and an electret tweeter. Other than the faceplate, the overall design is very similar. The Legion is almost twice as chunky compared to the Aegis, and you do feel that in your ears. The nozzle diameter on each is fairly large at 5.9mm, but I didn't really have any issues with the comfort. It's only the extra size on the Legion that was noticeable. Here's the frequency response comparing them. Right away you can see that these are not a neutral set of IEMs. They do look quite similar in how they're tuned, however. Both of them are rather bassy with a mid-range dip and upper mids forwardness. But it's in trouble where they differ, and that's where the difference in the extra tweeter for the Legion presumably comes in. But what's interesting is that the addition of the tweeter kills the lower treble of the Legion at 5 kHz and instead shifts that energy up to the mid and upper treble, especially around that 11K mark where we see a really big peak. I would have expected that big upper treble peak because of the extra tweeter, but not a lower treble dip. Weird. Sound-wise, let's start with the Aegis. So this is actually quite a nice set. The bass is surprisingly good. There's a ton of impact and it digs really deep. And despite the roller coaster looking mids, it does work out to balance the extra bass so it doesn't come off as overly bloated. The mid-range on this thing has some nice clarity to it. It's really that extra 5 kHz that can be a little bit too much and make vocals sound a bit strained, but otherwise the overall treble is not too bad. There's some nice transient definition and crispness to the notes. It's a little bit sparkly, but not too bright at all or too peaky. Alright, so what about the Legion? Well, I actually heard this IEM first and I kinda liked it. I had it in my ears for quite a while just listening to music, right? But after comparing with the Aegis, its flaws really did start to show, and I think there's sort of two big problems with it. The first is that its bass just is not as good as the Aegis despite graphing almost the same. It loses a lot of that deep impact and it really becomes kind of a question of quantity, so it's kinda eh. The second problem is that its timbre is both bloated and hollow at the same time. And I think it's because of that big lower treble dip combined with the big upper treble peak, both happening at the same time. It sort of messes up the timbre of a lot of instruments that kind of hit those particular regions. Now, it's not that bad, but there is a general sense of offness to it, especially at first listen. Now, as far as those perceived technicalities go, I'd say both of these IEMs are pretty good, nothing to really complain about, but I would say that the Aegis does win because of the extra bonus in its bass. And so based on my first impressions then, I would definitely recommend at least checking out the Aegis. I don't get a lot of IEMs that come to the door when I'm impressed with its bass quality, especially at $500. And what's extra interesting about the Aegis is that it's not new meta by any means, so this could be an option for those who are kind of getting tired of that sort of tuning or don't like it in the first place.